Well, hi friends, it's Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and Elwing and I are here to talk to you about a really special book that we just recently read that we totally fell in love with. It completely took us by surprise. I'm hearing a lot of hype about it now, but I wasn't in the beginning. I was just sort of semi-interested in this, but then I was hooked from the first chapter, could not put it down, and it's probably going to be one of my favorite fantasy books of the year. But even if you're not a fantasy fan, a huge fantasy fan, I think there is a lot to unpack with this book that everybody can enjoy. So what book am I talking about? Well, this is Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. Nettle and Bone. Now, I haven't read anything else by T. Kingfisher. I do have one of her other books, but I've never read it yet. So really, the only reason why I was super interested in this was because the outline of it sounded really good, and I thought, well, I'll give it a try. But like I said, it completely stole my heart right from the beginning. I love this book so much. I'm going to be talking about it and hyping it up for quite some time because it's just that good. So what is this book about? So first of all, I do want to say it is very short. It is not a very long book at all. It is less than 300 pages. It's less than 250 pages actually. So it is really quick. So if you want to read a book that is a fantasy type fairy tale story, but you don't want to sink a lot of time into it, or you don't want like a huge epic or volumes on volumes of a story that you're going to have to track down, this is a really great standalone story. So it's about a woman named Mara, who is the youngest daughter of a royal family that's kind of fallen on hard times. So she's got two older sisters. Her mother has wedded the first older sister to this prince in this kingdom, neighboring kingdom, who has a lot of power, to try to save their little tiny harbor kingdom. Well, that sister dies, and then the next sister is then handed off to the same prince. So Mara is now the third one, and she is then sent to a convent to live because she is now the spare wife, apparently, if something happens to the second sister. So, but Mara is okay with the convent. She doesn't really feel like she fits in with royal life. She is not very social. She's very awkward and quiet, keeps to her own company, doesn't care anything about court politics or anything like that. She just wants to basically be herself and live her own life. Well, she finds out that the prince is actually a monster. And I don't mean a literal monster. He doesn't turn into something with fangs and wings. He is a abuser. So she finds out that the eldest sister was basically killed by him, and the younger sister is constantly having to get pregnant because that's the only time he's not beating her. And she's in danger of her life. Well, what Mara finds that she just can't let this stand, because not only is this her sister that she feels responsible for, even though she's the younger one, but this is her fate. If something does happen to this sister, she's the next one in line to marry him. And there's not much her mother can do. When she goes to her and tells her about it, her hands are tied because of their fate of this kingdom basically resting with this prince. So he has basically abused his way into power. He has abused his way into these marriages, and he's got everybody basically by the throat. Nobody can do anything. Or can they? So Mara enlists the help of this ragtag group of people, and she decides that she is actually going to go and kill this prince and free her sister. What a cool idea for a story. So even if you take away all the fantasy aspects, the fairy tale aspects, this story has a very, very fairy tale-esque feel to it. From the way that it's written, from the characters, from the language, everything feels so fairy tale-esque. But if you get rid of all that, really what you're left with is a story about a sister who's trying to save her family, about a young woman who feels like she doesn't have any agency in this world because, this is a world of powerful men and politics and things that she doesn't really understand. But it's a way of her fighting back and taking the power back for herself and her family. It's amazing. And something I didn't expect, it's hilarious. There are so many funny aspects of this book, so many hilarious dialogues between the characters. So some of the people that she has with her that is going on this quest is this fairy godmother who is kind of a failure at it. She's not very good at being a fairy godmother. This dust witch, who's basically this witch who can talk to the dead. Her chicken, who is possessed by a demon. That's absolutely hilarious. and a young man that she saves from the goblin market who is on the run from the law. Also, a dog that she has made out of bones called Bone Dog. You will love Bone Dog so much. If you are a dog person, he is just absolutely adorable, even though he's made of bones. And I just want to show you the end papers that has a picture of Bone Dog on there. And the cover as well has Bone Dog. This book is, I just can't speak highly enough about it. It has a lot of things that ring true, even if you're reading it today. Like I said, despite the fairy tale feel to it, it really, really, really feels very relevant to modern society as well. And I think a really good book will do that. It will connect you to it, even if you're not, you know, in the same space or time or whatever that the story is taking place. And like I said, if you do like fantasy and if you do like fairy tales, that's an even bigger bonus because it's just such a well-told story. And again, like I said, it's very short, less than 250 pages. So if you're just looking for something to dip your toes into, a fun fantasy story that has a lot of depth and heart to it, try this one, Nettle and Bone. I promise you're not going to forget it. I'm going to be thinking about it for quite some time. Nettle and Bone. Well, that's what we've got for you today. I hope that this book sounds as interesting and wonderful as I found it to be. If so, please feel free to check it out from Farmington Community Library. Please give this video a like. I really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, friends.